Hello, Andre. Are you there?
Hi, hello. How's everything?
How are you? Good morning for you.
Yeah, good morning. Can you hear me well?
Yeah, perfectly.
Okay, great.
How are you?
Yes, great. We were just cooking for our new summer menu. So these two
Wow.
days very busy. And then yesterday, just yesterday, we released a news of my documentary. It will release on 21st of August on all the theater. I'm not sure about Europe, but in
Uh-huh.
Asia, it will be on the cinema.
Wow, that's great. How how does it I was looking at your career. I have to tell you I'm not a journalist, so I will talk to you with you from chef to chef.
Yes.
Uh, I was looking at your career. I already admire your cooking style and everything, but I now that I know more about you, let me you have done some many good things that I have a lot of questions.
Okay, great.
Uh,
We're gonna
but
spend all the time go
but
through.
we I think that we all have this COVID-19 thing in common now from
Yes, it is.
two different cultures like South American and Asian. We have all
Yes,
this in common. But you from Taiwan, you experienced everything first,
yes, it is.
and and you are lucky that you are in living in the one of the most successful countries fighting against it.
Yes,
So
yes.
from what I heard, you are already opening because we here we are still in a quarantine.
Oh, yes.
So
Well, actually, Taiwan never really, besides the closing the border, Taiwan,
uh,
all the industry never really closed at all.
oh wow, that's amazing.
Yes, we do some adjustment of the distance between tables, but we never, the government didn't shut down uh, the in the industry because we've been protecting it very well and prepare very much in advance. Probably one of the first and the safest country in the world.
Yes, yeah, we all think so from here.
Yes.
So you never close, so you never reopen. You just stayed open with some precautions. I
Yes.
assume like
So I share with my team. I said that we're extremely lucky because the protection from the COVID-19 from the government, that really we are the luckiest country
yeah,
or
you
the
are.
lucky restaurant that during this whole period since January until now, our restaurant at Raw, we still keep around 1 to 1.5 month booking in advance.
Well,
So
you're
very lucky.
yeah you're yeah you are lucky, but yeah, also maybe you did some things very good in your country to have that insurance. Like I mean,
Yes, yes,
yeah, because everybody talks about Taiwan like an example to how you have to fight COVID-19. So
yes, and I think that whether it's how we fight in advance, or I think even just looking at a restaurant business ourselves, how to stay independent and how to prepare in advance. This time I share with a lot of people because many journalists or many people ask me about how do we affected by this COVID-19
mm,
pandemic, and also uh, many they are even in Taiwan there are certain restaurants they close because of this issue, but we honestly didn't get much affected for many factors. So I could share with all of you. First of all, we don't pay rental. We don't have rental. Every restaurant from our group, we own the space. Okay, so we don't have rental. Second is we don't have mortgage. We don't mortgage. And then, so some people must think that, oh, then you must have a very strong backup. You must have a lot of cash flow to be able to do that. But actually, we just take one step at a time. A lot of restaurants, they try to leverage too fast, or they try to build a business too fast, and that becomes a issue once something happened. I heard that some restaurants has 30 days cash flow, or 2 month cash flow. So what if something happens and you have no space to react? So what I'm trying to say is, if you can easily rent a space and start up your own business, it's very easy. But if you have to buy the space, you will think twice, because oh, okay, I need to prepare a amount of money. I need to think about whether this space in 5 years, in 10 years time, it will still be a nice area, or the concept that I'm creating will be able to sustain for 10 years or 15 years onwards. Then you think deeper. So what I'm trying to say is, you know, people say that getting to F&B industry is easy because the entry level, it's low. As long as you can cook, you can rent a space and then have few people, you can open a restaurant. So because it's too easy, and that's how when things happen like this big pandemic, people start to suffer. So I think after this COVID-19, we have to think further, and we need to have a further expectation, or prepare to do one thing at a time. Maybe this big leverage of system, it doesn't work for us anymore. Let's just do one thing right, and one thing at a time. Yes. Yes.
Next person, or how we.
Well, I think for this, after COVID-19, of course, besides the one in Taiwan, many of our restaurants overseas get more or less affected. In a way that we start to do many things like deliveries with something that we don't do before, and do a different packaging, which we never done it. But in a way that I think it's good. It's a good way to think about it, because you know, we always, everywhere we go, we always use local ingredients. We always focusing on local clientele as our priority. So when suddenly the borders are closed, we can't get many things from overseas. Our clientele still strong coming to the restaurant. We still get our ingredients what we need. In fact, cheaper. So that tells us that what we have prepared, the concept was correct. So I think after this COVID-19, people will start to think that, we've been talking about it many years of local ingredients, focusing on local clientele, local culture. So I think this after COVID-19, it will dig even deeper. So people will think further of how could we sustain, even with our border closed for a year or 2 years, are we be able to sustain ourselves with everything that we have? Will that limited coming after?
Hello. Well, yeah, we lost you for 10 seconds, but it's okay. We are back.
Okay.
Well, okay. I think you did one of the things that many chefs, many of us have wanted to do someday. You had a very successful restaurant, Andre, and one day you decided, okay, this is great, this is working perfectly. Okay, this is it. I will close it. I mean, I think that I'm talking in behalf of many chefs that we at least one time in our lifetime we thought, okay, I want to close the restaurant and do something else. But you did it. You did it. So
Yeah.
I respect you more for doing that. How did you feel and what did you do it? Like,
Okay. First of all, I think to all my restaurant, to all my chefs, my brigade, I told them the same thing. I said, nowadays that the world changed so fast. The environment changed so fast. What we are creating right now is for the moment. What the concept that we are creating is for the maybe prepare for the next 10 years. But 10 years later, sometimes we forgot to think about what the guests want exactly. So reset, the word of reset is very important in my life. I left Taiwan. I was born in Taiwan. I left when I was 13. I reset. So from 13, I left Taiwan and I moved to Japan and to France, and to start a life from zero. I don't speak a word of Japanese. I don't speak a word of French. And then that's how I started. I stayed in a restaurant book sale for 10 years. I stopped. I reset. I started from scratch to work with the best of the best, to travel around the world for 10 years. And then I reset. I start again. I arrived in Singapore 10 years with my career. And after that, I reset. So I think every 10 years for us to stop or pause, think about what do we need? I think every 10 years we think differently what we need in life, what we need for the restaurant. also what we need for our guests, not just what we want to cook, but we're cooking for our guests. You know, the concept that we have created 10 years ago might not fit what it is today. So
yeah,
that's
I completely agree with you.
Yeah, so every 10 years to stop not being dragged because this was the setup, this was the things that I cook, then I need to stick with it for whatever reason. I took 10 years as a time to create a masterpiece, to hand out my work. And then you can always restart and rethink about what your diner really needs for the next 10 years. So yeah, and I think our goal has to be very clear. We cook for our guests, so if we have to change for our guests, we change. Not for anyone, any ranking, any other guide. We are here. We share our creation with our diners, and that's everything. Yeah.
So you think a concept, and when you feel that this concept gets old, or you are not satisfied with it, or your diners are not satisfied with it, you are not afraid to change and to think something new.
Okay.
Like,
yes and no.
what?
Yes and no. I think what we believe will not change, and not because of people think it's old or that they doesn't like it. Is when you create a concept, of course you have a vision of what it is.
Yes.
And very easily we stuck with it over time. Which means that, okay, if today we need a transportation, we buy the bicycle. Okay, after a bicycle, we want a motorbike. After a motorbike, we want a car. After you get a car, you want a bigger car. After a bigger car, you want an expensive car. And that never stopped. That thing never stopped. So you want bigger and better all the time. But at the end of the day, you go back, you think, I'm just going from point A to point B. And I forgot my original intention of doing it. My original intention was not, you know, we get lost along the way. You know, if I get one start, I want two. If I want two start, I want three. I want five. You get lost in that game, if you want to call it. But we are facing 30 guests every day, and that's something that we want to focus. So every 10 years, I want to reset myself and think about what do we need, what our guests need. Even when the moment that I want to close Restaurant Andre, and the whole world is like, why do you want to close Restaurant Andre? That's why at the top of the game, and that's producing something that everybody wants. But am I just being into that perfection, or the perfection is in you? My perfection is still that taking care of my 30 guests every night. That's it. Not being the best in the world, or not being how many stars I get.
That takes me to, I wanted to ask you something about that too.
Yes.
I read that when you moved many times, as you said, from France to Singapore, but then you moved back to your birth country.
Yes.
You went back to Taiwan, and
After
you
30,
left it after 10 years, and you left it 30 years.
yes.
Wow. Okay. That might be a shock. But you left a two Michelin star restaurant, and it's true that you ask Michelin not to put you in another guide, not to give you more stars.
Yes.
Because when you were talking about, okay, this is like personal and my personal goals, not related to any stars or awards. Why
Yes.
did you do that? What? Because I think that I'm talking in behalf of many chefs that feel like the pressure of the stars, of the pressure of the prices.
Okay.
So why did you do that?
Okay. I'm the only or the first chef in Asia that returning the stars. I guess that creates a lot of informations. Well, first of all, I think I want to share this in two different directions. First of all, in my career, I only work in 3 Michelin star in my life. So since my first restaurant, or the Jardin d'Essence, until Trois Gros, Pied Gagnère, and then Astrance, it's all 3 Michelin stars. So I grew up in that 3 Michelin star French system. Is it important to me? Yes. That's our goal. That's something that I fight for. That's what I, sleep 4 hours a day is
Yeah.
doing. And me personally, I have the biggest Michelin collection since 1960 until now in my house. So am I a big fan of it, or is that the ultimate goal for me? Yes, it was. And I was at Restaurant Andre. We were fighting it every single day to find that perfection. The perfection is what? The perfection is you reach 3 Michelin stars and #1 in the world. That's your perfection. But when we created, the moment that when we created a restaurant, we have a vision of how I want this restaurant to be. And we are chasing that image. So, one day I was sitting, every day, when we get into the restaurants, there are so many things to fix. The
Yeah.
sauce is not salty enough. The flour was not right. The atmosphere is too cold, it's too hot. The plate was dirty. There are so many things to fix every day, everywhere you go. And there's one day that I entered the restaurant. The kitchen was spot on, and everything that every chef did was exactly how I wanted. The restaurant was spot on. So I called my wife, and then I said, come and sit at the couch. We were sitting there and looking at everyone is working. I said, isn't it perfect? Look at it now. And she said, yes. I said, this
And
is it.
and is perfection happiness for you?
Yes, yes. I was looking for, we were unsatisfied as a chef. We were unsatisfied because we are, in a way, greedy, should I say? Or whether it's greedy, or I should say that we are chasing the wrong thing. Does everyone need to ride a Bentley to work to be happy? No. Is that the ultimate goal of our life? No. We were sitting there. I called my wife. We were sitting there. I said, look at it. Today everything was just spot on. And that was the perfection. That was the last piece of puzzle that we're looking for. And we got it. And she said, yes. I said, this is it. So that night, I called to everyone in my team. I said, you know, that is everything. That's everything I asked for. And we did it. You know, I want to keep this moment as it is. I suddenly realized my goal is not 3 Michelin star. My goal was not #1 in the world, which I probably could. I probably will. Now I have a 9 Michelin star with all my restaurants. But does that important to me anymore? Maybe not. So yeah.
Well, okay, congratulations, because I think that's the way of doing it. I mean, when you, but if you, okay, if the Michelin stars or perfections don't give you the happiness you thought it would be, what 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 are you looking for now? I mean, when you look at your restaurant, when you look at Raw with 30 people eating,
Yes.
what do you want to achieve? I mean, what do you once you are not no greedy anymore, and you realize that you want something more for your career.
Yes.
What is that? I mean,
Okay. I think for all of us as a chef, we need to remember everything that we do. We are defining the vocabulary of this generation.
yes,
Okay.
I agree.
You know, okay, for example, in Egypt, you dig into the soil and then you found something that 1,000 years, 2,000 years ago, a piece of bowl that tells you how intelligent or how they live their life in that generation. And
Yeah,
maybe 100 years down the road, people want to know that 100 years ago, how well that we live our life, how we create. And this is our duty. You know, we are creating, defining what is luxury, what is fine means in right now. So what is our language? Why I decide to go back to Taiwan that I left for 30 years to redefine what Taiwanese flavor is. We forgot already. You know, what we should eat right now, it's not what people are eating 50 years ago. What we should create something that is relevant, that belongs what it is today. We defined luxury differently than 50 years ago. 50 years ago, it's a crystal chandelier, bling bling. That is luxury. Today, luxury doesn't define as it is. So food as well, cuisine as well. So how do we do now in our restaurant as a chef? We are creating is what should define now. And so 50 years down the road, people look back and say, yeah, at that time, someone created something extraordinary that shows us how well they are living in that period of time. I think that's the ultimate goal.
yeah,
People
I
forget,
agree completely.
people forget about stars and rankings.
Do you think that is more connected with the senses? Our shop now, like happiness is more connected with feeling the surroundings and translating it into food, maybe. I heard you. I read that you said once that you don't feel like you are feeling more like a coach, like like a player. I mean, you have like all these chefs and you want to coach to
Yeah.
train them. Uh,
Yes.
and I think that's amazing. How do you do that, or how do you feel about it? I mean, when you see one of your apprentices or your sous chefs that
Mm,
succeed and open his own restaurant, or
mm,
that you feel that you transmitted something and you teach another chefs how to cook and how to feel.
yes. Um, uh, Currently, all our restaurants, uh, almost everyone was trained. All our other restaurants, the chef, most of them are trained from Restaurant Andre. And along the way, you will realize that in your brigade, you have someone that is very good at something. And more they work, more you work with them, more you realize that they have their own character and style. And suppress we should not suppress that unique style of his or hers.
Yes.
You Not just to do what I ask you to do. If you see someone that has a really unique style and he has his own thinking and he was going to in a good way, and I would say that it's a time for you to have a restaurant that you believe, whether it's a burger joint or it's a barbecue shop, or it's something that you are very good at. And as a coach, you should be able to see that, not to, not for the sake of I want to keep it to my team, so I suppress the talent of this chef,
So
or
have you
I have to mold
have
it
yeah?
to become me. You know.
But have you ever done that? Like, have you ever done that like pushing somebody, saying, "Okay, this is your time. You have to leave the nest and go to open your own restaurant"?
Yes, yes, I did.
Do
But I we all know that as a chef, when you start, you wanna after a few years you're working, you wanna have your own restaurant, but you have nothing to begin with. So
Yeah, that's true.
what we do is we support this chef to have their own restaurant. You know, we have all the resources, not only the financial resources, but also the creativity, the PR, the
Hmm.
concept, everything. What they need is just go and do what they are good at. So you can say it's kind of like an incubator, or yeah, or a boot camp. But I think you will see there are a lot of great chefs out there. Uh, Many of them are so famous, but they cannot have they cannot train someone better than them. Okay, but there are a
So
lot
may
of great chefs. They trained people that is better than them. So I think
could that be
it's
a
curiosity, or whether we put ourselves as a chef or put ourselves as a king.
maybe that could be a measure of success for your career? If you look around and see a lot of chefs that learned with you, that are better than you,
Yes, yeah, that
maybe
would be
maybe it's
proudest moment.
sorry, I didn't hear you.
That would be my proudest moment.
Yeah, I think that's the new stars,
It
maybe.
is. It is.
uh, okay, when this very young Andre was working in Europe, in France, uh, did you work with somebody that did this to you, that say, okay, Andre, this is your time, you have to leave, or that push you in some way to open your own restaurant or to leave this France to go somewhere else?
Yes. I remember when I first arrived in France, I worked at the Jardin des Sens in Montpellier. It's a 3 Michelin star in 1999. 1998, we get the 3 Michelin star, the restaurant. I started to work there, and for nearly 9 years. So from a commis to chef de cuisine. And there was one day that Bruxelles asked me, say, Andre, what do you think you're going to do next? I said, I want to know everything about French cuisine. Because I only work in south of France, I only know Southern cuisine. I even have a Southern accent. But I don't know in the capital of gastronomy in Lyon or in Paris or in the north, what I only see a small part of French cuisine. So he asked me, so where you think you are going? I said, I want to go Trois because that is Trois is very close to Lyon, and also in one of the oldest 3 Michelin star restaurant. I said I want to go to Trois, and he said, okay, I'll give you a letter, and you go there to see Michel Trois, and you give him the letter. I didn't know what is in the letter until today. I don't know what's in that letter. So I delivered it. I didn't know until today. I don't know. I never asked. So I delivered the letter to Rohan, to Michel Trois, and he opened the letter. He looked at me and he said, do you want to work here? I said, yeah, sure. He said, okay, then we'll take you and we'll come to the family. That's how I moved from one place to
yeah, that's an amazing story. Yeah.
So I think I have a very good mentors that also, like I said, when you see someone that is matured, you're willing to give him a push. Not just being selfish of keeping this. We know how hard it is to keep the team, to keep the staff with us. I know.
Yes.
But at the same time, if we can have the ability to make this chef better, you will not be just a passage. You will be his mentor forever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how being a chef works, I think.
Yes.
Like it's like a craft passed from mentor to chef, and we keep doing this. This is this is our task. I think our craft works like that.
Yes.
But now you are back in Taiwan. If you, I've never been there. So if you,
yes.
okay, we meet and I ask you, okay, I'm going to Taiwan. What should I do and what should I eat, or what's tell me some things that are part of the Taiwan food DNA. What would you say? And I have 2 or 3 days to be there, so you have to tell me straight.
Okay. First of all, Taiwan is a small island, and we used to be colonized by Japanese for 50 years, and then we have an influence from China. our original natives, they are aboriginists. We have 9, or some people say 12 tribe on this island. So we have, first of all, I think very important to experience the aborigines culture of Taiwan. That's original Taiwanese. It's like American Indians. Yeah. So that's
like the Incas for us, for example.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. So that's the original aborigines culture that I think you should experience. Second, Taiwanese DNA is very much mixture, like I said, influence of China and Japan because of the colonization. In a way, it's also very similar to Peru, that it has a different influence. So sometimes we kind of confused. In our culture, we have influence from different culture, but that makes the beauty of it. So you can experience a very good Chinese cuisine, a very high level Japanese cuisine. Why? Because the influence that come from a Chinese cuisine in Taiwan, we didn't get destroyed by the revolution in China. That's why that we are still, for example, that's why we're still doing the traditional Chinese, not simplified Chinese, because we didn't go through that war, that revolution. So same thing with the Japanese culture. For 50 years, we kept that influence with us. So you could have a amazing aborigines culture, extremely Chinese, good Chinese cuisine, Japanese influence, and that creates a mixture of Taiwanese cuisine.
Okay. The first thing I will do when I can take a plane is go to visit Taiwan.
Yeah.
And experience all that.
Yes.
When all of us, the chefs, we have our own system from creation. No, we rely in some things that we do almost always the same things, adapting it to different concepts.
Yes.
But what I like about you is that you put a name on it.
Yes.
So because you call it like octave philosophy.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, I say this guy is very clever because I not only knows how it works, but he named it. So
yes.
Why did you do that? Or how do you think? Okay, this is my creation system, and I will name it this. Like, why don't you explain it to our viewers? Like, why did you do that?
Very good question. You have that book?
No, I've seen it on the internet, but I don't have it.
Okay, great. After philosophy, I think where the creation come from. You know, our creation can come from a story, an inspiration from season, or a produce, or your experience, something that you learned before, or it's a cultural thing, right? The creation, inspiration come from different directions that make us create a dish. So the matter of creating a dish is for us to deliver messages. How you want the guest to feel, what you want to tell the guest. It's a curation. It's a curation of 2.5 hours. So how you want to create, like a movie director, how you want the guest to feel. Okay, so I see it like a 2.5 hour, like a movie. You have a 2.5 hour sitting there and watching the movie. Exactly the same thing. The guests are sitting there eating along the way for 2.5 hours. What do you want to create in that 2.5 hours? You need to have something interesting, something that so they don't get bored, and something that they feel shocked, something extremely fine, something fun, something serious, something elegant. You know, okay, so we start to vision it in a movie. You need to have someone serious. You need to have someone fun. You need to have a main character, a second character. You need to create good guy and bad guy. That makes the whole
Yeah.
movie interesting. So those are your dishes. That's how I start. So how to create the transition is very important. It's not just cooking a nice dish. We need to see bigger. The guests go home with what experience or what message that you gave him. Okay. Second is it's a psychological, it's a psychology practice. So if I create a dish, I tell you salt. That's one of the auto philosophy elements. So if I give you salt, you will look for the saltiness inside this dish. Oh, it's the anchovy, it's the or it's the soy sauce, or it's the fish sauce, or the fleur de sel. That give it a touch of saltiness. If I give you a different, exactly the same dish, but I tell you texture, you will start to look for the texture. We have a crunchy, soft, right? So that's exactly the same dish. It's a manipulation of mind that what you want the guest to find. So the lesser information you give, more imagination they have. So what we want is the guest to get into that. It's like when you get into that movie, when you have the sound, when you have the everything, people get into that movie, and then you can deliver your message. Exactly the same thing. So if the guests start to imaginate the things that you try to deliver, then they get into your system, and that's what we want.
Okay.
And I think
We are
nowadays we don't need to to write all the beautiful description. We should let the guests to discover it along the way.
okay. We are all hungry here because it's dinner time in in Latin America. So I
Is it?
expect you yes. I hope we can meet. I can try your food someday. Thank you very
Oh,
much for connecting with us.
thank you.
We
And
it was
also for
very
everyone is is with us today, and I hope everyone is healthy, stay safe. Look forward to see everyone in our restaurants, but also stay tuned with my new documentary movie coming out, and soon hopefully in all the cinemas. Now we're not sure about in Europe, but in Asia, it'll be coming out in the Q4, August onwards.
what's the name of the movie so we can look for it?
Andre and his olive tree.
Oh, that's a very nice name. Andre
Yeah.
and his olive tree.
Yes.
Okay. I hope we can all watch it. Thank you very much. Take care. And okay,
Yeah.
you are welcome to visit us in Argentina or Latin America whenever you want.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you
I
very
will.
much.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Bye. Take care.
Bye.